and grew to a second Cessna 152 and then a 172 and then another 152 and now a Mooney and now a PA-22 108 Colt with new fabric on it. So we're growing slowly, steadily, and been really successful. So I was asked to come out here and kind of give you guys what do flying clubs do for the aviation community, and I think they do a lot. They give an option to people that aren't necessarily out getting a rating or needing a rating, but for our high schoolers that want to learn about flying, for people that want to learn about flying, rusty pilots, keeping people current, ownership of an aircraft that maybe they can't afford to own an airplane of their own, but still want to take the pride in ownership. So that's kind of the breakdown. So we're a nonprofit organization. We're still working on the paperwork to be a complete nonprofit, but I can tell you by the bank statements, it's not making any money. But it's funny, to become a nonprofit, it takes about $10,000 in lawyer fees. So, we're working on it. So, so this is just a little bit about us. Established in 2012. I'm a mechanic by trade, airline transport pilot. I decided to have a midlife crisis and go be a pilot for a couple years, and then came back to being a mechanic. I really enjoy working on airplanes and helicopters, everything from DC-3s to Bell 212s to the fun stuff. And as you can tell by the name, Aeron Classic, I like the classic stuff. So it's we've trained from primary students to advanced students seeking commercial licenses to instrument ratings to just an economical, safe way of getting people and keeping people in the air. So is our goal, our mission statement. So we have members of all ages. We've had a member down to the age of 16, and we've had a member up to the age of 82. So flying the airplanes. So it's interesting. It's an interesting, different culture to see different people and getting them involved in aviation. So
you've got a member that's a CFI. Does he make himself available a little bit for members to?
So how we work with our CFIs, if we have CFIs that want to be in the club, they don't pay a membership fee. So and that's how we attract CFIs to come fly with us. So got quite a few CFIs that work at Little Ace, Raven, so on and so forth, that have CFIs now have professional flying jobs, and they still want to have a 172 or a 152 to go kick around on the weekend with. So we give them access to the airplanes for free of charge if they'll put their names on the list and be available to give our club members instruction.
Nice.
So it works out really good for them. So we have, I think, nine CFIs on our list of available CFIs that are checked out and have their insurance paperwork in to fly in the airplanes. So it also gives our membership, our 30 members, availability to air instructors. So it's worked out pretty nice. It's not ideal for somebody that's getting a private pilot certificate because that instructor has a full-time job. So he's not going to be there pushing you to fly 3 or 4 times a week. So,
but for check rides and get rid of rust and polish things up a little bit.
Yeah, they're there. They love coming out, and I don't know what they charge per hour. I've heard some of them get up to $100 an hour. I've heard some of them get up to $40 an hour. It's their deal. They have agreed to be a part of the club, and they've filled out the insurance requirements, and they've agreed to be on our list of CFIs. That's their business. So I give the numbers out to anybody that's in the club and wants to fly. They can contact them via text message, email, phone number, talk to them, make their agreement with them. So it works out pretty good for me, but then again, I'm not babysitting a CFI. I'm not worried about paying a CFI. It's making airplanes available and then giving instructors the availability to instruct a little bit and also use reliable airplanes and also be able to work with the community. So A lot of them are offline commercially now, and a lot of them don't come back to being a CFI, you know. And there's definitely some that are out there flying that are commercially, great commercial pilots, but they miss being a CFI. So, you know, they enjoy coming back and doing a little bit of that. So it's worked out really good. So we're, like I said, we're a part of AOPA. So, and their big thing is you can fly. So if you guys are ever on the AOP website, you can look up the Flying Club Network. They have everything from a Facebook portal where you can go in and there's questions of the week for different flying club things on winterization, so on and so forth, financing of aircraft. There's a newsletter that's brought out every month. They have resources for starting a flying club. If you own a couple airplanes, you want to start your own flying club, they have all the resources there. I would tell you that they give you a discount in insurance. They did up to 3 years ago. And then 3 years ago, flying club insurance in Alaska became non-exempt and we went to commercial policies, which hurt all of us. So we have to buy the same insurance as a flight school, commercial. So no flying school insurance in Alaska, no flying club insurance in Alaska because Alaska crashes airplanes. So no matter how much I try to make it so it doesn't happen, that's what they claim. So, and the statistics unfortunately work out that way. So, but yeah, so they do different things. They make the Flying Club Network through AOPA. They have several different options from high school, making flights available for high schoolers, getting them out for introductory flights. We've done a couple of those for King Career Center and for UAA's high school program, where we'll just give them the airplane for free and the hours, and we'll get a couple CFIs to go fly with them and give them their first introductory flight free of charge. You know, get them up and about, get them to learn about aviation. The other one that they're big in is the Rusty Pilot. And they want, they think the flying clubs is a very good way of getting the Rusty Pilot back in the air. So I don't know if you know what a Rusty Pilot is. It's somebody that has a pilot's license, probably hasn't flown in 4 or 5 years, and really should go out with a CFI and get the rust knocked off, you know. And so we work with that too, trying to get members in that are maybe don't have access to airplanes, give them access to the airplanes, give them access to CFIs, giving them the ability to not be a rusty pilot. So. There's a website right there if you ever want to look it up. It's all free. So AOPA's Flying Network will get you involved and get you all set up. It's a great amount of resources in there for what we do. And the good thing about the AOPA Flying Network, they have every flying club that's registered with them on their map. So you can type in a zip code and you can see every flying club in the area. And they'll give you contact information, what airplanes they have, so on and so forth. So it works out really, really, really nice. So if you go from one club to another club, a lot of guys, when they get involved with clubs, they like club experiences. So you get, you know, anything from clubs with 70 members to clubs with 3 members. So, and different aspects of airplanes. So the sharing network is no new thing. I mean, flying clubs go all the way back to World War II. I mean, they've been out there and available for years. So there's huge ones that have up to 70 aircraft where they go all the way from a 7AC Champ all the way to a Learjet. It's pretty amazing. And you start thinking about sharing the cost of a Learjet. I still don't know how that works, but it's out there. So we try to get together and have cookouts. I didn't get one done this summer. This next summer we're planning on opening the hangar doors, putting the barbecue out with a few picnic tables, getting all the club members out there, getting involved in the airport and the airport environment. So we try to make it a club atmosphere. So like I said, we don't have websites, we don't have a lot of different things to put money into. It's all word of mouth. And when you get that, you get a club membership or you get friends. It's a friend network where everybody kind of knows everybody. and you also get the self-correction. So if you pick up an airplane that was maybe short on gas from the last person, you usually know who that person is. So, if not, I get a phone call and then I call them. Say, hey, you're supposed to leave it with quarter tanks. So we've all had that. We try to make it right. You know, there's always going to be these little things that can annoy people in a flying club and certain things. And usually it's the gas, or not having the airplane tied down correctly, or leaving the soda can. You know, had one CFI went flying with a student, got him all signed off for his private pilot. They decided to have celebration and drink a beer when they got back, and they left their beer cans sitting on top of the cowling. When I showed up the next morning, there's Budweiser cans on top of the cowling, and I had to call them and ream them a new one. They were very apologetic, but it's like, pay attention to what you're doing. So we don't want that reputation. So here's the AOPA picture of Anchorage. There, as you can tell, there's the 3 flying clubs: Kinnick Flying Club, Aeron Classic Flying Club, and then one in formation that I have not heard a thing about that's supposed to be on Merrill Field. Haven't seen anything in the paper, anything else. Haven't seen any of the airplanes. Their contact information, you call the number on it, don't get a number. So I'm sure they put the paperwork in to be in flying club, but have fallen off or lost the airplane, or maybe it's just a flying club with 1 or 2 guys that have signed up to be on the website and they don't want anybody calling them. So that's where we sit. Unfortunately, none at Lake Hood, none in the international area, 1 in Birchwood, none in Wasilla, none in Palmer currently, 2 in Fairbanks. So up to, well, in 2012 when I started the club, there was Kinnick Flying Club, me, and that was it. There wasn't anybody in Fairbanks. So even here in Alaska, we're starting to see more and more club atmospheres pop up. People sharing airplanes. As airplanes get higher in price, so on and so forth. So some more information, different websites, how to join AOPA Flying Club Network. Their newsletter that comes out monthly. If you wanted to get that, it's AOPA Community Flying Club newsletter. So every month they put one out. So then I kind of put some slides together if anybody's interested on ever starting a flying club. There is rules, just like Part 91, just like Part 135, just like 121. There are rules for flying clubs. The FAA says you have to be able to show that it's a non-profit and that you're sharing the aircraft. So we have to be very careful about what we charge every hour to make sure that we aren't making a profit. So, and it's very easy for me to lose money. I can tell you that much. So, because the wife reminds me about it every month. So, the rules and the regulations. What I didn't know was when I started researching this today, and I've got to go talk to Merrill Field. But I guess airfields now get a federal reimbursement for having flying clubs on their airfields. I did not know that. I found that out today when I was looking up this information about flying clubs. So I need to go talk to Merrill Field and the airport manager and say, hey, I'm your flying club. I can get you some money. How about helping me out here, buddy?
You'll be his favorite person.
Yeah. So I had no idea about that, but 2 years ago, I guess they put a law in that there's federal funding if your airport has a flying club or a sharing network of aircraft. So I'll have to go over and see my good friends at Merrill Field Management and pay my tie downs and say, hey, we need to have a talk. Are you collecting your money? Because if you're not, you need to, and then you need to give me a break on tie downs. So, a little history about flying clubs. Like I said, all the way back to World War II, there's been flying clubs. I'm sure a lot of you guys in here have probably been members of flying clubs or been a part of flying clubs. I know my father, he learned how to fly in a flying club, you know. was a 7 AC champ in 1967, and he paid $12 an hour, and he paid the instructor $7. So,
Wow.
you know, that was.
Wasn't up here either, was it?
No, it wasn't up here. So, but it's pretty remarkable. Like I said, it's the social network of flying and knowing the people that you get to fly with. So, in the face of general aviation. So getting started in flying clubs, it's getting started with a flying club. Basically, got to find an airplane and guys that want to share it, and then come up with the rules and regulations to share it and all get along. So we've got kind of a board for our nonprofit. I'm the head of it. My father is the director of maintenance / safety officer. My wife is the CFO, and so we keep it in the family. We've got Chief Pilot Brent Scheib, who's our chief flight instructor. He keeps on the schedule, and he checks out members and also checks out CFIs that want to use the aircraft. So works out pretty good. So we've got a small board, but I keep it very honest with my members that come to us. Guys think we need to do something. I mean, the big push right now is a tailwheel airplane, so we're actually looking at a tailwheel airplane. It pains me to say that we're looking at a tailwheel airplane, because that's it's just, you know, that tip over factor. Because a tailwheel airplane will come with floats, a tailwheel airplane will come with skis next, a tailwheel airplane will bring a whole entire new network to flying. So, and it always does. And tube and fabric, but we got our first tube and fabric coming on this year with a PA-22. So, with new fabric on it. So it's, we'll see where we end up. So I'm probably gonna go with a tube and fabric airplane for a tailwheel. I don't think I'm gonna go a Cessna 170. It's been thrown out there a lot. Of course, some people want P-18s, some people want 180s, and it's like, well, you write the check, I'll put it in the club. So it's set up that way. So the club is, you know, how it is structured. I structured it so anybody can lease an airplane to the club. So if there's a club member that wants to go buy a 172 and wants to lease it back to the club, they set their rates. They go out and they shop the insurance. We give them the insurance price for their airplane, our price that we pay. And then they figure out how much they insure the airplane for. They figure out what their maintenance cost is, and then they tell me how much they want to rent it for, and we put it on the club like that. So we've had a guy put a Comanche on for a couple months. We had a 150 on for a while. Most of the time they fly them for a little bit and go, you know, I'm not making any money. It's like, it's not made to make money. And then they go take their airplanes and sell them or do whatever they want to do. So it's, you know, it's one of those things.
You mentioned no 170s, why is that? Age?
No, I have no problem with age. So just when you flip a metal airplane over, it takes a little bit more special custom to fix it. So when you get into tail wheels, you get that whole entire, you know, I was the director of maintenance at Land and Sea when it started, so I was one of the founding partners at Land and Sea, Mike Field, Shannon Garris, myself. And we started with a Stavria. We were the only ones on the airfield that had a Stavria. We did all the tailwheel ratings. We flew that Stavria 1,000 hours a year doing tailwheel ratings. 5169 X-ray, 5189 X-ray. They were great airplanes, but every 3 months I was tearing the engine apart, putting a new crank in it, putting the engine back together, because about every 3 months flying 1,000 hours, about 350 hours, somebody would get the problem. So it costs money. So a prop costs you $5,000, the engine teardown costs you another $4,000, put it all back together, you're $10,000 in the hole. But you offered something to somebody. I mean, we taught a lot of people how to fly tailwheels and gave them an appreciation for flying tailwheels. So it scares me on the aspect of my insurance going up. It doesn't scare me on the maintenance side of it or storing the aircraft. It's the cost of when something happens. Oops, you know, so.
Brent helped me knock off 25 years of rust And
Yeah.
you got a tail wheel endorsement.
Yeah,
He's a
So-
good man.
yeah, he's a great guy. I worked with him at Land and Sea for a long time, and when I left Land and Sea, Brent kind of tagged along with me. He just was like, I want to fly your airplanes. I trust your airplanes, you know. He trusts my airplanes more than I trust my airplanes. So when I rebuilt 69 X-Ray, I put new wings on it with new middle spars, recovered the whole thing. I went out and I go, put the Millman spars in the whole 9 yards. And I went out and I flew it, I brought it back, I tied it down, put it in a tie-down spot. And then 3 weeks later, I was on YouTube, and here's Brent out with a student in it doing full aerobatics. So I was like, well, I guess it works. He broke it in for me. But he's a very competent instructor, and he turns out a very, very good student usually. But I've had students come up to me and go, that guy's crazy. And I go, why is that? And he goes, well, we're flying around at 1,800 feet. And he's like, you ever been in a spin? And he wants the student to know what a spin is and how to get out of it. So I'm fine with that. You teach somebody how to survive in an airplane, they don't bring an airplane back every single time. So, no, Brent's great. I wish he had more time to do more flight instructing. Atlas, unfortunately, is keeping him very busy flying back and forth to Japan right now. So, but we got another good instructor, Dean Paulson, uses the airplanes a lot.
Dean actually recommended Brent for me.
Yeah. So, Dean Paulson, I think, helped you out, right?
We wrapped up my private
Yeah.
team.
Yeah. So, and then we got,
I had a fantastic experience.
yeah, Sonny's flying in them. Yeah, so a whole handful of CFIs over there flying in them. Kevin Nodlin, Kate
Oh
Pottenbottom?
yeah, didn't she work at Ace?
Yeah, Ace.
Yeah, I met Kate
Yeah.
one day when I was up there.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a good group of guys. So, there's the manuals that tell you how to run the FAA's Airport Compliance Manual, Order 5190-6B, tells you how you're doing BA flights, non-profit flying club. So, and all the regulations that it shows and the orders. So, if anybody ever wants to know the rules that we have to abide by, so we got Part 91 rules, and then we have the rules of being a non-profit flying club. So, that's, no, different flying clubs, how they're established, I don't really know if anybody needs any of this, but like I said, AOPA has a huge guide of how to start one up, different templates of how to do it if anybody's ever interested, or if somebody has an airplane that they're thinking that they want to share with their buddy. There's a lot of good information on there that can lead you in the direction of doing it safely and correctly to make it legally correct. So, any questions? So,
What's your favorite plane to fly right now?
my favorite plane to fly?
Yeah.
I still like the 152. I sit right in the middle, drive both sticks.
I was gonna say that.
But I'm a miser, as my wife likes to tell me. I drive Volkswagens and old ratty trucks, and I like an airplane that burns 4.5 gallons of car gas and goes out and has a good time. So, now I've got, I like the 152s, but I did buy an airplane that kind of still scares me a little bit because I don't fly it enough.
Yeah.
So my dad had Lescamade A's when he was growing up, so I bought his original Lescamade A 2 years ago. It's sitting in Washington State still in a hangar, but I'm hoping to get it up here. 65 horse, my big butt in it, and pops right off the ground, and it's a fun airplane. So it gets as close to open cockpit as you can because there are gaps everywhere in the doors. And but
I love my 140.
yeah, yeah, it's pretty much like a 140. That airplane will still get my attention. So we'll come in for a wheel landing or something like that, and think I have it on the ground, and I'm done flying, and the wing raises up, and I'm like, ah! So.
Or completely off the ground when you think that you're taxiing.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, I like that airplane. It's a fun airplane. I think I'm gonna like the Mooney when I fly it the first time. So I've never flown the Mooney, but after completely rebuilding and seeing what's in a Mooney, I understand 100% why pilots like it. You know, so it'll be a smooth airplane. This will be a fast airplane, and you know, no cables in that thing. The only cable is for the retractable step. You know, everything's push-pull cables, 180 horse, nice constant speed prop. So it'll be a fun little machine. Be able to put the gear up, so and go someplace. So I think I'll have fun with that. The question would be, what airplane have I flown that I don't like?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
there's only one of those, and that's it. Aircoupe.
Oh, what?
Aircoupe.
Oh.
So, with no rudder pedals. That just didn't feel right. I flew one of those with the canopy and no rudder pedals, and you steer it all like a car, and make it drive like a car, and it just never felt right. So, there's not too many people to have those. There's a couple of them up here though, a couple out of Birchwood. You see them at the air shows all the time. So, they're kind of different type of aircraft, but designed to be a car. So, you know, just a steering wheel. You just drive it with the steering wheel. So,
They've got the turning ground gear too, don't they?
I think so. Not quite sure.
Yeah, I'm not either, but
I only flew one once, and it was a pleasure to fly, but it just didn't feel right. Came in on a crosswind, you know. You feel like you need to put a little bit of rudder in it to get it to crosswind correctly, and you have no rudder to put in down there. You find yourself kicking the firewall. Hey, what?
Something's missing.
Yeah, something's missing. I only know how to fly with rudder pedals. So, no, that's no, I enjoy flying all kinds of airplanes. So this flying club's actually worked out really good for me. It gives me different opportunities. People come in all the time and say, "Hey, what if? What if?" It's like, well, I don't mind experimenting. Let's see what we can do. So. But most of the time, like the Mooney, it was a deal that I didn't even know about. One of the club members came in and said, "Hey, this guy has an estate sale, and his dad, he doesn't know how to fly, and his dad had a Mooney, and airplane's available, and you need to give him a call." So gave him a call, and we got ourselves a Mooney.
That's where all the best deals are made.
Yeah.
I know somebody.
I know somebody. So, no. All right. Any other questions? Any concerns? Thanks for all coming. There's snacks over there in the corner.
presumed, but just
Yeah.
to clarify, I'm gonna guess that all of your airplanes are ADS-B out?
No.
No,
Not yet.
yet, okay.
Yeah. So we're in the avionics shop actually the second week of February for ADS-B out for 3 of the airplanes. So it wasn't built into our financing last year for the price of the airplanes. So the upgrades don't have to come out of my pocket alone, or I'd have to increase rates. So with the sale of the 3 152s to Angel Aviation, that gave us enough money to put the radios and the avionics into all the rest of the fleet to bring everything up to compliance. So, but then you go over to the avionics shop, go over to Gary's shop and say, "Hey, I need my airplane done." He's like, "Well, there's a waiting list." All right, well, let me get on it. So, yeah, but we will be ADS-B out real shortly. I mean, we've got 406 ELTs, we got everything else, but the ADS-B going to
It was
class.
mostly a curiosity thing.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's a plan. So,
Personally, I don't even have a transponder, it's not on my list, but.
yeah, so, and legally we can still go fly, just like all the flight schools. I mean, most of the land and sea
you can
airplanes
go
and the
either way,
Angel
you can
ones.
go under.
Yeah.
Yep, you can go under and you're still good, but we did have ADS-B in a couple of our airplanes, and that was amazing. So 787 had ADS-B in, and then 13205 has ADS-B in. So you see your train, you see aircraft coming in on those aircraft, and that's amazing for the pilots.
Does in help sell you on the out?
Yes. I'll tell you right now that when I installed the first in 787, I was kind of, meh. Then I went and flew it, and I was like, "Oh, there's an airplane over there." Oh, sure enough, there is. it was amazing how many more airplanes were visible. That for years I've been flying by, didn't know they were there, you know, and I thought I had really good eyesight, you know.
Airplanes are invisible, we all, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've all been shocked, but
So, you know, like Dean Paulson tells me all the time, he goes, ADS-B in is way more important than ADS-B out, because ADS-B in our practice area out here, every one of these jets have ADS-B in out. So it's don't pick up everything that has a transponder. So as long as you're throwing a closed Class C transponder out there, their ADS-B is picking it up and yours is too. So you're seeing everything.
okay.
So the end gives you pretty much everything, you're just not reporting. They can't, yeah, but it will pick up your transponder, your normal Category C
And
transponder.
you build an end off of the wingtip.
You can do it that way, or you can do a new transponder. So we're gonna do a couple with transponder upgrades, and we're gonna do a couple with the wing beacon. So the PA-22 will get a wing beacon, the Cessna 152 will get a transponder, the 172 will get a transponder, and then the Mooney will probably get a wing beacon on it. So the tail beacons, yeah. So those are nice units. I've installed one now on a Tabri and took 10 minutes. You know, took longer to strip the wires and hook the two wires up and mount the screws back in the wing, and
You
then
had to run
calibrate
wire.
it on my iPhone.
You did have to run wire, right?
Nope.
No?
No, just your normal nav light.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, but you have to remember though, your nav light has to be on for it to work. Because you have to have power out there. So now you're flying with your nav lights on during the day. If you have LED nav lights, not a problem. If you're in the old style nav light, you're going to burn out bulbs. So, but you need to have the nav light on to make the ADS-B out work. So, the secret. So, I installed it the first time, and they went out and did their test pilot thing, got their money back from the federal government, and then he came back to me a week later and goes, they said they weren't seeing it. I said, what do you mean they weren't seeing it? He goes, well, I was out flying in daylight and they weren't seeing it. I was like, well, did you have the power on? What power? Do you have the nav lights on? No, I didn't have the nav lights on. Well, then don't work, I'm sorry. So, but no, easy installation. That Sky Beacon is really amazing little unit. So, for the price. So, but. Any other questions?
Not that are club related.
Yeah. So, but, yeah, Kathleen will tell you I'm not big on a lot of fancy avionics. So I don't chase after Garmin 430s or anything else. I like a good old KX 155 with a localizer. I'll have two localizers and ILSs in two spots before I have a 430 in there. Some people say I'm nuts, but hey, if you don't know how to fly gauges, then, you know, I tell my pilots all the time, if you don't open up your eyes, this is general aviation. Enjoy it outside. That's why you're up there. So.
Question that I was going to bypass. Do you feel, but based on what you just said, do you feel that ADS in or out will build a complacency and a dependency, or not looking out the window?
I think we've already put ourselves in the situation in general aviation that we've made it with glass cockpits where we've already made the situation. So we have too much on glass cockpits now with G1000, so on and so forth. So much information on the screens that the mind is digesting and it's not outside. So I think they need to bring ADS-B in to put it on the screens, because I think we were in a dilemma of direct to in a lot of our newer aircraft, Cirruses, Cessnas, even these modified aircraft with Aspens, multiple Aspens installed, so on and so forth. So much information on those screens. Pilots are looking at that information all the time. And now that they got engine instruments coming in on screens, they got everything else coming in on screens, the mind's down here, not out there.
So it's already happened.
It's already happened. We did it to ourselves by bringing glass cockpit in. So, and I think ADS-B is let's don't say this so we can still be aviators.
And then there's people like me, I don't even have an artificial array.
Yeah. Just go outside and look at the ball, right?
There you go.
So, but, you know, for somebody that wants to be a professional pilot, they don't need to know glass. It's more and more every day.
But
So,
it's creating,
a different pilot.
well, not only a different cockpit, but a need for curmudgeons like me to make myself identifiable.
Yeah. So,
Because people aren't looking.
no, I truly, I don't think people are looking like they used to, you know? So, I go fly that Lescom, I don't look inside ever, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I might square down and make sure I have oil pressure once in a while, but it's never inside. I'm always outside looking at the horizon, doing my head sweep. It's a completely different airplane, you know?
Yeah.
You get yourself into an airplane with ADS-B, even if it's on just a little handheld or an iPad, you're switching over to that iPad, looking at it every 30, 40 seconds. It's amazing how much time you're missing outside the cockpit. So, that's just my personal belief.
Well, in this room, I hear ATP captains say, my personal plane, I don't have a transponder. I don't have any of this stuff,
Yeah.
because I want to go fly.
Yeah.
And yet, it's like you're pointing out, I'm less visible because other people aren't looking.
So, and part of our job as being private pilots and out there in general aviation is to be looking out for each other,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And that means even more in the air.
When you have a collision, that's two birds, so.
Yeah, it's two birds. And we usually have 3 or all around the Big Lake VOR, it seems like. And I hate to say it, but it seems like we have 3 in Alaska every year. So it's sad to have people do that.
Mhm.
It really is. So, especially just outside of the Class C airspace where everybody's on radar.
No, that VOR is too big of a crossroads.
Yeah, it's huge. So, yeah, so it's been my closest one. So it was out by the Wasilla Airport when I first got my license. I think I had 62 hours in my name. I was in a rented 172 cruising around at 5,000 feet, going back across the Birchwood to do touch and goes. What do I run into? An ultralight. But I didn't hit him. But it was close enough I could see him flip me off as I went by. But I was questioning why he was at 5,000 feet.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking at my altimeter going,
Why
what's
is
he
up
doing up
there?
here? That's not an airplane. That shouldn't be up here. But, yeah, so I think that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you for inviting me. If you guys have any comments or questions, I'd be glad to give you my cell phone number. Call at any time, look us up. Thanks for being Alaska Airmen members and supporting Alaska's general aviation. Appreciate it. So, yeah.
Thanks for being here today.